The engine's rumble died like a heartbeat cut short, leaving the old Chevy Impala adrift in the middle of Elm Street's empty stretch. "Samuel," David said, his voice cracking like gravel under tires. "I can't teach you to drive away from who you are. I tried that once, and it wrecked me." In that frozen moment, with the dashboard lights flickering like dying stars, I saw the man behind the wheel not as my instructor, but as the ghost of every secret I'd buried in the glove compartment of my own life. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles whitening against the cracked vinyl, as if holding on could steady the world tilting beneath us. The air in the car hung heavy with the scent of stale coffee from David's thermos and the faint, metallic tang of autumn rain seeping through the vents. We'd been circling the quiet suburbs of Portland, Oregon, for what felt like the 100th time that afternoon, me, fumbling through parallel parks and three-point turns, him patient as a saint, his calloused hands gesturing from the passenger seat like a conductor lost in his own symphony. But now, with the car stalled at a stoplight that had turned green 2 cycles ago, his words echoed louder than the blaring horns from behind. David shifted in his seat, his broad shoulders slumping under the weight of that confession. He was in his late 40s, with salt and pepper hair cropped close to his scalp, a face etched by lines that spoke of too many sunrises chasing freight trucks across the I-5. His eyes, a stormy gray that matched the Columbia River on foggy mornings, fixed on the rearview mirror instead of me. "Pull over, kid. We need to talk. For real this time." I eased the car to the curb, the tires whispering against the wet asphalt like a reluctant apology. My heart hammered in my chest, not from the near miss with that pickup truck earlier, but from the raw edge in his voice, the kind that slices through small talk and lands in your gut. Portland in October was a city of contrasts. Hipster coffee shops buzzing with baristas in flannel, rain-slicked streets reflecting neon signs from food carts selling Dungeness crab rolls, and neighborhoods like this one, where craftsman bungalows huddled under dripping maples, hiding families with secrets as deep as the Willamette. I'd grown up here, in a split-level ranch house 3 blocks from Powell's City of Books, where my mom still alphabetized her mystery novels and my dad pretended the garage was his kingdom, tinkering with lawnmowers to avoid eye contact. Driving lessons were supposed to be my escape hatch. At 22, fresh out of community college with a half-finished graphic design degree and a barista gig that paid for rent in a shoebox apartment in the Pearl District, I was spinning my wheels. Literally. My license had lapsed after a dumb fender bender in high school, and now, with a job interview looming at a design firm downtown, I couldn't afford to look like the guy who couldn't navigate his own life. Enter David Reyes, recommended by a coworker at the coffee shop, ex-trucker turned instructor, certified by the DMV, with a rep for turning nervous wrecks into road warriors. Our first lesson had been a disaster. I'd stalled at every light on Burnside, sweating through my hoodie while he chuckled softly, saying, "Breathe, Samuel. The road's forgiving if you are." By the 3rd session, though, something shifted. He'd start with the basics, mirrors, blind spots, but weave in stories. Hauling loads from Seattle to Sacramento, the loneliness of mile markers blurring by at midnight, the way a single cassette tape of Springsteen could make the miles bearable. I'd nod, stealing glances at the way his forearms flexed when he pointed out a yield sign, the faint scar snaking up his wrist from some long-ago accident. It wasn't attraction, not at first. Just curiosity, like finding a dog-eared paperback in a used bookstore, wondering what worlds it held. But today, as we sat idling by the side of the road, that curiosity curdled into something sharper. "What do you mean? Wrecked you?" I asked, my voice smaller than I intended. The rain pattered on the roof, a steady Morse code urging us to move, but neither of us did. David rubbed his jaw, the stubble rasping under his palm. "I was your age, give or take. Grew up in a trailer park outside Eugene. Dad was a logger, Mom waitressed at a diner that served the worst pie this side of the Cascades. I knew early, that I wasn't wired like the other boys chasing skirts at the county fair. But you bury it. You drive it down deep, like a stake into soft earth." He paused, glancing out at a jogger in neon tights pounding the sidewalk, oblivious to the storm brewing in our Impala. "I married her anyway. Elena, sweet girl, worked the line at the mill. We had a boy, Marco. thought that'd fix me. Make me normal. The word hung there, normal, like exhaust fumes you can't quite wave away. I thought of my own house, the framed photos on the mantel. Me at prom with a date whose name I couldn't recall, my parents beaming at my high school graduation. The unspoken rule that love was a straight line from A to B, no detours. I dated girls in college. Awkward dinners at Thai spots in Hawthorne. Kisses that tasted like obligation. But late at night, scrolling through apps in the dark, it'd be the profiles of guys with easy smiles and shared playlists of The National that made my thumb hover. I drove trucks to escape, David continued, his voice gaining steam like an engine warming up. Out on the interstate, it's just you and the white line. No judgments, no questions. But Marco, he was 8 when Elena found my stash of magazines under the seat. Not the girly kind, the ones from San Francisco shops with men on the covers who looked like they could see right through you. She didn't scream, just packed a bag, took him to her sister's in Bend. Filed papers before I even got home from my run. I swallowed hard, the lump in my throat tasting like regret I hadn't earned yet. And the driving? How'd that wreck you? He laughed, a bitter bark that echoed off the dashboard. After the divorce, I spiraled. Lost the route, started drinking on layovers. One night, outside Medford, I wrapped my rig around a semi because I was too busy crying to see the curve. Walked away with a busted leg and a suspended license. Taught me you can't outrun yourself, Samuel. The road always circles back. The light ahead flicked to red again, bathing us in that eerie crimson glow. Cars whooshed by, their drivers lost in podcasts or phone calls, lives unfolding in straight shots while ours idled. I wanted to say something profound, to bridge the gap between his wreckage and my wobbling start, but all that came out was, "I'm sorry. That sounds heavy." David turned to me then, really looked, his gray eyes softening like fog lifting over the river. "Don't be. That's why I do this now. Teach folks like you not to make my mistakes. What's got you so twisted up behind the wheel? Anyway, it's not just the clutch." I hesitated, fingers drumming the wheel. The truth bubbled up, unbidden. "The interview tomorrow? Sure. But beneath it, the email from my ex, Jamie. Not the girl from college, but the guy I'd ghosted last summer after one too many, what are we? Texts. The one that read, "Saw your Insta. Still pretending." Portland was progressive on paper. Pride flags fluttering from every balcony in the Alphabet District, rainbow crosswalks faded but defiant. But in the quiet corners, in family dinners where my dad grumbled about kids these days, it was still a minefield. "I'm figuring it out," I muttered. "Like, who I am when I'm not just going through motions." He nodded, slow and knowing. "That's the real drive, kid. Not the gas pedal. Let's get you home. But think on it, tomorrow we hit the freeway. No more side streets." As I restarted the engine, the Impala coughing to life, I felt the shift. Not in gears, but in me. David's truth had cracked open the door I'd nailed shut. And now, with the rain-smeared windshield blurring the world ahead, I wondered what lay on the other side. The next morning dawned crisp, the kind of Pacific Northwest blue that tricks you into forgetting winter's grip. I chugged espresso from a to-go cup, Stumptown, black as my mood, and met David at the lot behind his driving school. A no-frill strip mall wedged between a taqueria and a vape shop. He was leaning against the Impala, arms crossed, a faded mariner's cap pulled low. "Ready to merge?" he asked, tossing me the keys with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. We headed east on I-84, the Columbia Gorge unfolding like a postcard. Basalt cliffs plunging to the river, windsurfers dotting the water like colorful specks. Traffic hummed steady, semis barreling past with whooshes that rattled the windows. David coached me through the merges, signal early, accelerate smooth, claim your lane like you own it. For the first time, it clicked. The wheel felt like an extension of my hand, the road a conversation rather than a confrontation. "See? You're a natural," he said during a lull, as we crested a hill with Multnomah Falls misting the air. "What's the job?" "The one making you sweat bullets. Graphic design gig at this agency in the Pearl. They do posters for music fests, album covers, Stuff that actually matters. I glanced at him, the river sparkling below. Feels like a shot at something real, you know? Not just slinging lattes. He chuckled. Art, huh? Marco's into that. Sketches these wild comics. Superheroes with capes made of truck tarps. Kid's got talent. There was pride in his voice, laced with ache. Haven't seen him in years. Elena's got full custody. Holidays are quiet. The mention of his son twisted something in me, a preview of fractures I might one day navigate. You ever think about reaching out? Like a letter or something? All the time. He stared out at the gorge, jaw tight. But what do you say? Hey, kid. Dad sorry he was a ghost? Nah. Better to let the road take the miles. We pulled off at a viewpoint, the car crunching gravel as I parked with newfound confidence. Tourists milled about, families in matching rain jackets, snapping pics of the falls thundering down. David pulled sandwiches from a cooler, turkey on rye, crusts cut off like he'd packed for a child. We ate on the hood, legs dangling, the mist dampening our sleeves. Tell me about you, he said between bites. Not the resume stuff. The real Samuel. I wiped mustard from my chin, buying time. Grew up here. Single mom mostly. Dad's a civil engineer, always on bridges or something. They love me, but expectations. College was supposed to be the plan, degree, job, wife someday. But I flunked out halfway, chasing sketches instead of lectures. I paused, the falls roaring like unspoken confessions. And guys, it's complicated. Never told them. Never told anyone. Really? David set his sandwich down, his gaze steady. Complicated's just code for scared. I get it. First time I kissed a guy, it was in a truck stop shower off I-80. Some drifter with hands like sandpaper. Felt like coming home and getting struck by lightning. All at once. His words landed soft, disarming. I laughed, nervous, the sound swallowed by the cascade. Lightning, huh? Sounds dramatic. Life is, if you let it. He clapped my shoulder, the touch lingering a beat too long, warm, grounding. You're young, Samuel. You've got exits ahead. Take the ones that scare you. Back on the road, the conversation flowed easier. His favorite diners along the coast. My secret playlist of indie folk that made Portland's gray days bearable. By the time we looped back into the city, horns blaring through the steel bridge, I felt lighter, like I'd shed a layer of rust. That night, in my apartment with its exposed brick and string lights, I stared at my laptop, the interview portfolio open. But instead of tweaking fonts, I found myself sketching. Rough lines of a man at a wheel, face half-shadowed, eyes on the horizon. David's face unbidden. I saved it as Truth Mile, heart racing like I just merged into rush hour. The interview went better than expected. The agency head, a woman with a buzz cut and tattoos of circuit boards, loved my raw edge. You've got that Pacific grit, she said, handing me a contract over craft beers at Deschutes Brewery. I texted David a thumbs-up emoji, his reply instant. Knew it. Beers on you next lesson. Our sessions blurred into routine, then something more. Mondays became merges on the bandfield, Tuesdays city grids dodging cyclists in spandex. He'd share snippets. The tattoo on his bicep, a compass rose inked in Reno after a bar fight. I'd confess dreams of illustrating graphic novels set in rainy dystopias. Laughter came easier, silences comfortable. Once, after I nailed a hairpin turn on Skyline Boulevard, Douglas firs towering like sentinels. He hooped and pulled me into a bear hug across the console, his cologne of pine and motor oil enveloping me. Proud of you, Sam, he murmured, and the nickname stuck, warm as cider. But undercurrents stirred. At home, my mom's probing questions, seeing anyone special, landed like speed bumps. Dad's silence at dinner, flipping channels to football, felt heavier. And Jamie's texts trickled in. Missed you at Pride this year. Still hiding. I deleted them, but the guilt lingered, a hitch in my acceleration. Then came the betrayal I never saw coming, not from David, but from within. A week before my first paycheck, I spotted him at a coffee shop in Selwood. Our coffee shop, laughing with a woman who touched his arm like she knew the map of his scars. Elena? No, younger, vibrant red hair, a ring glinting on her finger. My stomach dropped, irrational jealousy flaring hot. Was this his normal? The fix he'd chased before? I confronted him next lesson, words tumbling out as we idled at a light. Saw you yesterday. With her. Who's the lucky one? David's face fell, confusion creasing his brow. Laura? Colleague from the school. We're pitching a group class for teens. He searched my eyes, realization dawning slow. Sam. It's not what you think. But the damage was done. I accelerated too hard, tires squealing, the car lurching into traffic. Just drive. I snapped, pulse thundering. In that moment, his truth felt like a detour sign I'd missed, and mine, like a wreck waiting to happen. The Impala fishtailed slightly as I swerved into the bike lane, a cyclist in lime green swerving with a curse that cut through the rain-speckled window. David's hand shot out, steadying the wheel. Easy, Sam. Breathe. His voice was calm, the instructor's tone, but I heard the undercurrent, the hurt I'd just inflicted without meaning to. We pulled into a strip mall lot, the kind with a Big Lots and a nail salon, neon buzzing faintly in the drizzle. I killed the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the patter on the roof. I'm sorry, I blurted, staring at the gear shift. That was stupid. I just saw you two and it hit me wrong. Like maybe you're moving on, and I'm still stalled. David leaned back, exhaling slow. Moving on? From what? Exactly. His eyes held mine, probing, the gray depths pulling like the undertow at Cannon Beach. I fumbled for words, the dashboard clock ticking like a countdown. From everything you told me, the magazines, the divorce. I thought maybe that's why you opened up, to warn me off the same road. But seeing you with her, laughing, felt like you were proving it, that you could go back. He shook his head, a sad smile tugging his lips. Laura's straight as the I-5, Sam. Married to her high school sweetheart. We're friends, nothing more. But you? That jealousy? That's not about her. He paused, the rain intensifying, blurring the world outside to watercolor streaks. Tell me what this is. For real. My throat tightened, the confession clawing its way up like roots through concrete. It's you, okay? These lessons. They're not just about the license. You're the first person who's seen me, really seen and not flinched. And yeah, it scares the hell out of me because what if it's mutual? What if we merge lanes and crash? David's hand covered mine on the wheel, rough thumb tracing my knuckles. The touch sent sparks up my arm, electric as a faulty blinker. I've been crashed before, remember? But this, he squeezed gently. This feels like open highway. We didn't kiss then, not in the lot with prying eyes from the taqueria window. Instead, he started the car, drove us to a overlook on Mount Tabor, the city lights twinkling below like a constellation of possibilities. We talked till dusk deepened to night. His regrets over Marco, my fears of coming out to parents who'd clip pride stickers from the fridge like bad takeout. They're good people, I said, voice cracking. But good people can still break you with silence. Silence is the worst wreck, he agreed, arm brushing mine as we leaned on the hood. Loud crashes heal faster. That night, alone in my apartment, I drafted an email to Jamie. Not deletion, but honesty. I'm sorry. Still figuring the map. Sent. Then, heart pounding, I texted David. Open highway sounds good. Dinner tomorrow? My treat. His reply, Voodoo Donut. Midnight run. Deal. The weeks that followed unfolded like a road trip mixtape. Eclectic, exhilarating, edged with anticipation. My job at the agency ramped up. Late nights mocking up flyers for a queer film fest at Cinema 21. The irony not lost on me as I layered rainbows into sans serif fonts. David and I stole moments between lessons. Stolen coffees at Tin Shed Garden Cafe, where we'd split Marionberry scones and dissect the latest episode of some HBO drama about broken families. Walks along the Esplanade, dodging tourists snapping selfies with the Fremont Bridge's troll sculpture, his hand grazing mine in the crowd. Portland embraced us in its quirky way. The city's heartbeat, a blend of food trucks hawking banh mi and craft brews, by couriers weaving through traffic like urban daredevils, the ever-present drizzle that made everything feel intimate, conspiratorial. One evening, after a brutal day of client revisions, I met him at his place. A modest A-frame in Woodstock, bookshelves sagging with Kerouac and Tom Robbins, a turntable spinning Coltrane. Home base, he called it, handing me a Rainier tallboy from the fridge. We cooked, nothing fancy, just pasta with pesto from the farmer's market, basil bright as hope. Over wine, a cheap Pinot from the Willamette Valley, stories spilled. His first pride in Seattle '92, marching with a sign that read "Trucks aren't straight." My hidden sketches of boys kissing under the St. John's Bridge, pages I'd burned in a fit of panic. Laughter mingled with vulnerability, the kind that binds tighter than promises. But romance, in all its tender drama, can't evade the speed traps. Mine came via a phone call from Mom, her voice tinny over the line as I sketched in the agency break room. "Samuel, honey, your father's bridge project wrapped early. We're thinking family dinner Sunday. Bring someone? That nice girl from college mentioned you too." I froze, pencil snapping in my grip. "Jamie? Mom, that's ancient history." "Well, anyone then. We're proud of you, the job, the license. Just settling down would ease our minds." The subtext landed heavy. The house in Lake Oswego they'd eyed for grandkids. The church potlucks where whispers about the gays downtown floated like secondhand smoke. I hung up, gut churning, and drove straight to David's after work. He was in the garage, tinkering with an old Harley, grease smudged on his cheek like war paint. "Bad day?" he asked, wiping his hands on a rag. "Worse. Family expectations hitting like a pothole." I leaned against the workbench, tools clinking softly. "They want the full package, job, ring, normalcy." What do I say? "Hey, Dad, pass the mashed potatoes?" "Oh, and I'm dating my driving instructor?" David set the wrench down, pulling me into the garage's dim light. "You say it when you're ready. Or not. But hiding? That's the real detour." He cupped my face, thumbs brushing my temples. "I like this, sus. No rush, no wreckage." Our first kiss happened there, amid the scent of oil and varnish, his lips tasting of salt and certainty. It was slow, exploratory, like easing onto black ice, trusting the tread. When we broke apart, foreheads touching, he whispered, "Worth the scenic route. Bliss, though, is a fragile cargo." 2 weeks later, conflict revved its engine. I'd invited David to an agency happy hour at Moon and Sixpence, a pub with exposed beams and IPAs named after literary ghosts. Colleagues buzzed, designers with sleeve tattoos and ironic mustaches, and for an hour, it felt seamless. David charming them with trucker tales, me beaming like I'd parallel parked perfection. Then Elena called. I'd given him my phone to snap a group pic, and it lit up in his hand. He stepped outside, rain sheeting the windows, his voice low but carrying. "What do you mean Marco's asking questions?" "About me." I followed, eavesdropping from the awning, heart sinking as her words filtered through. "Therapy sessions, David. He's 13 now, confused. Says school kids talk about gay dads like it's a punchline. He needs to know you're not ashamed." David's back stiffened. "I'm not. But it's complicated." "Complicate less. He's your son." Click. He turned, face ashen, pocketing the phone. Ex-wife drama. Marco's digging into family tree project at school. Hit a branch he wasn't ready for. I nodded, but the seed of doubt sprouted. His hesitation, the complicated. Was I the detour now? Or the crash? That night, in bed with vinyl records spinning low, I pressed. What if it's not just school? What if he knows about us? David sighed, arm tightening around me. Then we face it. Together. But together tested us soon enough. The betrayal brewed not from malice, but from the quiet cruelties of care. My coming out started small. A rainbow pin on my messenger bag at work, earning nods from queer coworkers. Then, emboldened, I told my best friend, Lena, a barista with purple hair and a laugh like church bells. About time, she said over pho in Old Town. David's a keeper. That smile? Criminal. Word rippled. Mom cornered me at the grocery store, cart of kale and artisanal cheeses in tow. Samuel, Mrs. Hargrove from church mentioned. Something about you and a man? At that pub. Her eyes, blue as the steel bridge in summer, brimmed with confusion, not condemnation. Yet, it's true, Mom. David, he's important. She hugged me then, fierce and fumbling. We love you, always, but your father. Dad's reaction came via text, terse as a ticket. Talk, living room. Now. The confrontation unfolded in our old kitchen, Formica counters scarred from years of Thanksgivings. Dad paced, coffee mug gripped like a shield. This instructor, Reyes? He's twice your age, Sam. Divorced with baggage. What are you thinking? It's not about thinking, Dad. It's feeling. I stood firm, the linoleum cool under my sneakers. He's shown me how to drive, my life, not hide in the slow lane. Mom hovered by the sink, twisting a dish towel. We're scared for you, honey. The world's not kind to differences. Scared? Or ashamed? The word escaped, sharp as gravel. Dad stopped, shoulders sagging. Not ashamed. Protective. Like when you wrecked the Corolla, wanted to keep you safe. We talked till midnight, tears salting the air, ending in uneasy truce. Bring him to dinner. Let us meet the man. Elation mixed with dread. I told David over burgers at Tin Shed, his face lighting like dawn over the gorge. They want to meet you? That's huge. Yeah, but... I trailed off, ketchup packet bursting in my fist. Elena's pushing about Marco. You think you can handle both? Family fronts colliding. He reached across, lacing fingers. For you, I'll navigate any interchange. Lies, though, lurk in blind spots. The real swerve came from Elena's side, not betrayal by David, but by the past he couldn't outrun. A letter arrived at his A-frame, forwarded from Bend. Marco's handwriting, shaky on notebook paper. Dad, school sucks. Kids call me queer bait, 'cause of rumors. Is it true? About you? I don't care if it is. Just tell me. David read it aloud that night, voice breaking on the last line. I held him as sobs shook his frame, the man who'd hauled mountains now crumbling. I should have fought harder. For custody. For truth. You can now, I whispered. Start with a call. He did, speakerphone echoing in the lamplight. Marco's voice, prepubescent crack, tentative. Dad? It's me. Words tumbled. Apologies, stories of trucker lullabies, promises of visits. I'm gay, son. Always was. Proud of it now. Silence, then a small, cool. Mom says hi. Hanging up. David pulled me close, kiss fierce with gratitude. You were right. Open highway. But joy's a double yellow line, cross it, and consequences rear up. My parents' dinner loomed. A merge of worlds. I prepped David. Dad's gruff but fair. Mom'll fuss with the roast. The night arrived. Rain lashing the windows like judgment. David showed in button-down and jeans, wildflowers from his yard in hand. Mom hugged him. Dad shook, assessing. Over pot roast and Pinot talk flowed halting. Bridges Dad built, routes David ran. Then, the pivot. Samuel says you taught him more than driving, Mom ventured. David met her gaze. Told him it's okay to take the road less traveled. Even if it's bumpy. Dad grunted approval. Bumps build character. As plates cleared, hope flickered. But in the kitchen, while Mom loaded the dishwasher, Dad pulled me aside. He's solid. But Sam, think long-term. Age gap, his kid. Life's no joyride. The words stung, paternal concern laced with caution. I nodded, but inside, doubts accelerated. Was this sustainable? Or a scenic overlook before the drop? Driving home, David's hand on my thigh, I voiced it. Dad likes you, but worries. Worries are mile markers, not walls. He kissed my temple. We're good. We were. until Elena's next call shattered the rearview. David Marcos outed himself at school. Beat up bad. Hospital in Bend. Blames you. Says if you'd been around, he'd know how to handle it. The line went dead. David's face drained of color, the Impala swerving as he gripped the wheel from the passenger seat. Turn around, Sam. Now. The wipers slashed frantic arcs across the windshield, smearing the downpour into abstract smears of taillights and sodium glow. I punched the address into my phone. Bend, 200 miles east. A straight shot on 26 through the Cascades, and merged onto I-84 without a word. David sat rigid, knuckles bone-white on his knees, staring into the black maw of the night like it held answers. The radio hummed low, some late-night NPR drone about wildfires in California, but he snapped it off. Faster, Sam. Please. We 8 miles in silence, the Impala devouring the interstate, passing Madras with its dusty motels and potato fields silvered by moonlight. My mind raced ahead. Marco, 13. Tough as his old man but fragile in ways David had only glimpsed from afar. Hospital. Beaten. The word blames echoed, an accusation that twisted my gut. Not jealousy, but fear for the man beside me, unraveling thread by thread. You didn't cause this, I said finally, as we crested the pass, Ponderosis whipping by like dark sentinels. Kids are cruel. School's a war zone. David's laugh was hollow, ricocheting off the dash. Cruel? Try a war zone with no exit. I should have been there, PTO meetings, soccer sidelines. Instead, I was hauling ass to Spokane, pretending my boy's confusion was mine alone to bury. He rubbed his eyes, weary. Elena's right. I'm the ghost who haunts. Bend materialized just past 2 a.m. A sprawl of craft breweries and outlet malls hunkered against the Deschutes River. St. Charles Medical Center loomed white and sterile, its ER entrance a beacon in the storm. We parked crooked, dashing through the rain to the desk, David's boots squelching. Marco Reyes, he gasped to the nurse, voice raw. My son. She led us down linoleum halls that smelled of antiseptic and despair, fluorescent buzz overhead like interrogatory lights. Elena waited in the family lounge, hair disheveled, eyes red-rimmed, the woman from the coffee shop photo now etched with exhaustion. She rose, arms folding defensive. David, you came. Wouldn't miss it. He glanced past her, to the door marked room 214. How is he? Concussion, bruised ribs. Docs say he'll heal physical. Her gaze flicked to me, appraising. Jeans soaked, hair plastered, the interloper in their wreckage. This the boyfriend? Samuel, I said, extending a hand she ignored. Here for David. She nodded curt, turning back. Marco's asleep. Woke up screaming once. Dad's fault, Dad's fault. Therapy tomorrow. Social worker too. David deflated, leaning against the wall. Let me see him. Elena hesitated, then stepped aside. Inside, the room was dim, monitors beeping soft rhythms. Marco lay small in the bed, face swollen purple around one eye, a split lip taped. His sketchpad, David had mentioned it, clutched in bandaged fingers, pages smudged with charcoal superheroes. David sank into the chair, taking the boy's hand. Hey champ, Dad's here. No response, just the steady rise of his chest. Tears tracked David's cheeks, silent. I hovered by the door, feeling like a spare tire, useful but uninflated. Elena pulled me into the hall. Look, Samuel. I don't know you, but I know pain. David's good at starting engines, not maintaining. Marco needs stability, not another detour. He's trying, I whispered, rain dripping from my jacket. For both of them. She softened, fractionally. Then help him, but don't let him drag you into the ditch. Dawn broke as we left, pale light gilding the high desert, sagebrush stark against the sky. Marco woke groggy, managed a weak, hey, Dad, and a nod to me before Elena shooed us out for rest. Back in the Impala, David slept fitful, head against the window, while I drove, coffee from a Shell station burning my tongue. Portland welcomed us with gray indifference, the city stirring to espresso and rush hour. I dropped him at the A-frame. Call me. Anytime. He kissed me then, desperate, tasting of hospital mints and regret. Love you, Sam. For this, for seeing the mess and staying. Love you too. The words felt true, solid as fresh asphalt. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. Back at work, sketches piled up. Festival posters now infused with subtle narratives. Figures merging on highways, hands intertwined over gears. Lena noticed, teasing over lunch at Ondina. You're glowing, dude. Domestic bliss. Something like. But the glow dimmed when my phone buzzed. Dad. Heard about the kid. Rough. You okay? Word from Elena? Or Mom's network? Yeah. Handling it. Good. Just be careful. Hearts aren't Harleys, easier to wreck. The warning lingered as I prepped for our next lesson. No DMV now. Just us. Plotting a weekend getaway to the coast. Astoria, maybe, with its Victorian ghosts and Lewis and Clark history. A place to breathe salt air and rewrite maps. Friday arrived, agency humming with pre-weekend buzz. I wrapped early, packed a duffel. Tees, sketchpad, David's favorite flannel. His text, meet at the school lot. Impala's gassed. But the lot was empty. Save a note under the wiper. Emergency. Marco. Call Elena. Heart plummeting, I dialed. Voicemail. David next, straight to message. Where are you? Worried. Hours ticked. Dusk fell. Pearl District alive with Friday foot traffic. Couples linking arms toward wine bars. Laughter spilling from brew pubs. I paced my apartment. Phone a brick in my pocket. Finally, 9 p.m. David's call. Voice muffled. Sam. God. I'm sorry. Elena showed with Marco, surprise visit. Kid wanted to see the city. Crash on my couch tonight. Surprise? You could have texted. Hurt sharpened my tone. Jealousy a phantom passenger. I know. Panic mode. Elena's pushing reconciliation. Family unit. For Marco's sake. Pause. Heavy. She thinks. Maybe we could try again. For him. The world tilted. Sharper than any swerve. Try? As in you and her. Not like that. Co-parenting. But. Is tempting. Stability. Stability. I laughed. Bitter. That's code for hiding again. You said no more ghosts. Sam, it's not. Save it. Drive your own road. I hung up. The silence deafening. Betrayal burned. Not just the implication, but the fracture. His past eclipsing our present. Elena's olive branch a wedge. I drove aimlessly, ending at the Willamette's edge. Bridges arching like accusations. Waves lapped dark, reflecting city lights fractured. Hours later, his texts. Please talk. It's not what you think. Ignored. Morning brought clarity's hangover. Lena dragged me to yoga in the West Hills. Downward dogs and warrior poses, sweat purging the ache. Dump his ass, she said post-class. Over smoothies at Juice Press. Or fight. But don't stall. Fight. I showed at his A-frame unannounced. Sunday noon sun slanting through madronas. Elena's Prius in the drive. Marco's bike chained to the porch. Voices from inside, laughter. Light. I knocked. David opened. Disheveled. Eyes shadowed. Sam. Talk. Now. We stepped to the yard. Leaves crunching underfoot. Elena's here for brunch. Marco drew me into it. Wants us all normal. Air quotes weary. Normal. That word again. I crossed arms. You entertaining it? For real. He sighed, raking hair. Part of me, yeah. The dad part. Kids hurting, Sam. Needs roots, not routes. And me? The boyfriend who's been your co-pilot. Voice cracked. Rain starting again. Fine mist. You're more. But Marco. He's blood. Blood. The great divider. Then choose, David. Family fantasy or this us. His face crumpled. The man who'd faced down blizzards now felled by fork in the road. I can't lose him again. Not now. The choice landed like a blowout. Tire shredding on sharp truth. Then don't. But I'm not the spare. I walked away, Impala keys tossed in the grass, his now my exit. Portland blurred by. Alberta Arts District murals mocking my misery. Food carts steaming with falafel and regret. Home. I curled on the couch, sketchpad open to unfinished lines. A man at the wheel, alone, horizon empty. Days bled into weeks, a slow crawl. Work buffered. A big project, illustrating a novel about lost loves in the Midwest. Irony thick as fog. Lena staged interventions, movie nights at the Baghdad Theater, bowls of salt and straw ice cream. But the hollow persisted. David's texts tapered. Miss you. Call. Deleted. Then the climax revved in. A month post-split, agency holiday party at the Jupiter Hotel. Rooftop bar with fire pits and skyline views. Eggnog spiked with rye. I arrived solo. Collar popped against the chill. Determined to reclaim joy. Colleagues toasted. Stories of pitches won and deadlines dodged. Mid-laugh he appeared, David in wool coat and scarf, nursing a stout by the railing. Eyes met across the flames, magnetic. Sam. David. Neutral, armored. Heard about the book gig. Congrats. Genuine, warm. Thanks. Pause, fire crackling. Marco. Better. Therapy clicks. Visits weekly now. Elena and I. Coexisting. Good. The word tasted ash. He stepped closer, voice low. This sucks. Us paused mid-lane. Yeah. Your choice. Was it? Hurt flickered. Or fear. Elena's push. It echoed my old wreckage. But losing you? That's the real pileup. My resolve wavered. The city lights winking encouragement. Then why not fight? U-turn. Was going to. Tonight. He pulled an envelope from his coat. Drawings? Marco's superheroes? One captioned, Dad plus Sam equals team. Kid gets it. Said we make you smile bigger. Tears pricked. Unshed. David. Kiss then. Tentative amid the party din. Tasting of rye and redemption. Hands framing faces like precious cargo. Applause? Or imagination? Didn't matter. But romance's drama demands reckoning. Elena called next day. Post-reunion brunch at her insistence. Neutral ground. Pine State biscuits. Gravy steaming. Heard you two patched, she said. Direct. Toddler Marco coloring nearby. No, wait. The boy now teen. Sketching quietly. Yeah. Cautious. David's all in, told me straight. No more pretending. She sipped coffee, eyes kind. For Marco's sake and yours. Make it work. But if you hurt him, Portland's small. I'll find you. Promise made silent. Healing accelerated. David's lessons resumed, not driving but life. Joint therapy sessions in a Hawthorne office, unpacking baggage like overpacked trunks. My parents adapted. Dinners now with David's stories of Marco's comics. Dad even offering Harley tips. Teach the boy to ride, he grumbled, approving. Climax crested that spring. Equinox sun gilding the gorge. Marco's first pride, our pride. David and I walked hand in hand. Rainbow flags snapping. Marco between. Sign aloft. My dad's rock. Elena trailed. Smiling. The parade pulsed. Drag queens on floats. Drummers thumping bass. Cheers for every queer heart bared. In the crowd's roar, David leaned in. This the truth you shared that day? Best detour ever. Kiss public, unapologetic. Yet humanism whispers. No ending tidy as a full stop. Conflicts linger. Marco's therapy marathons. My parents' occasional slips. David's night terrors of old roads. But we navigate, turn signals on, wipers clearing the view. One evening, Impala humming on 84. Marco shotgun sketching. David and I hands linked over console. Where to? I asked. Anywhere, David said. Together. The road stretched infinite hours.